So the Ukrainian Society is a student organization at Penn State that aims to promote the education of Ukrainian culture, language, music, the arts here on campus and in the broader community. Recently we've also taken a role of political activism and volunteerism in our community and assisting refugees here, and also trying to raise money for different causes that are supporting the victims of the war in Ukraine.
I am originally from Ukraine. I migrated to the States almost 5 years ago. I'm from the east of Ukraine. And when the war began, I certainly had to find someone to share my tragedy, my worries about the family. And so even beforehand, I joined Ukrainian Society here at Penn State, and I'm trying to do my best to spread awareness of situation in Ukraine and to help Ukrainian people and Ukrainians who immigrate here and basically try to do the good thing.
I got the call from my aunt that the war was going on and turned my news on, watched it live happen, so it's a very surreal thing, and to be here a year later, that knowing that, Rідна Україна, native Ukraine, still stands and it's still, fighting, and the ZSU, the defenders of Ukraine, the military, the armed forces are actively in, fierce and heroic defense of cities like Bakhmut, Soledar, Slovyansk, Kramatorsk, Seversk, Kamenia. All these cities, they're key points that no one knew about before this war began, and now they're focal points destroyed by, Russian bombs and endless frontal wave assaults of human doctrine just to push the ideology of another person. So it's, coming out to honor and remember the people who've lost their lives, both my friends and family, and the people gathered around here and people that I never knew who took up the call, because in the end, freedom is never free and you have to pay a sacrifice one way or another.
Why we're gathered here today basically was because we wanted to commemorate all of the victims of the war in Ukraine, the countless lives that were lost, both of soldiers and of ordinary citizens. And we also wanted to gather for our own community members in State College, the refugees who've come here, as a source of comfort, because today is a really emotionally difficult day for many of us, because this war is still happening a year later, but at the same time we wanted to look at this with an optimistic perspective that Putin wanted to take over Kyiv in 3 days, the capital of Ukraine, right? And we're still standing here a year later. So for us it's important to look to the future with hope. So it's both to commemorate the lives that were lost of the students, soldiers, ordinary citizens, and to look at the future with optimism.
I would love them to understand that the horrors of the world still exist. There still will be terrible dictators like Putin. There still will be people who support him. There still will be bad things around the world. And they shouldn't be ignored. They should be remembered. And together we can make a difference, basically.
This community, ever since last year, ever since the war began, has been nothing but amazing. Honestly, I don't think I personally would have been able to handle everything that happened without this community. And all of us coming together, especially those who have family and friends in Ukraine, it's difficult. It's not comparable to what Ukrainians are facing in the country today, especially those who are actively fighting for their lives. But it's a source of comfort for us to come together, and it's really touching to see people who have no relation to Ukraine coming together and supporting us as well.